Masking, filling masking a buttercream cake. So we have a Genoise type cake which we're gonna cut into 3 layers. We have basic buttercream, syrup to moisten the cake a little bit. I'm going to use a cake decorating comb to do the sides, and with a round tip I'm going to do some basic shell borders to finish off the cakes. And then with the toasted almonds we just put a bit of almonds around the base. So we need a serrated knife that's longer than the cake itself, so we can see where we cut. First part is to get rid of any particles on the cake. They're gonna be interfering or fall off when we mask, so we just cut that flat. Cut off the sides a bit, which stick out. Then when all this is done, we take the cake and cut it into 3 layers. The way you do it is you put your hand flat on the cake. Serrated knife, I put the index finger on the back of the knife, which makes it more even. It's less chance that you go up or down when you cut through the cake, so it's more stable. So I cut 1/3 of the height, start cutting. I cut into the cake approximately 1/4 of the size of the cake. Then I turn the cake, cut again, turn it, so I can see where the knife is. This way I can keep an even layer. Once you're all the way around, you have the first layer cut. So we do the same thing again with the next one. Cut approximately 1/4, turn it, cut, turn it, and open it up. So this way we have 3 equal size layers. Okay. Then we're gonna clean this area off so we can do the filling. Now the turntable is only used for the masking. We don't use it while we fill the cake because it's too high up. So the cake board is the part where we put the finished cake on, so we don't use it while we work with the cake, so it doesn't get dirty. So the first step is to put syrup, which is a simple syrup, just boiled sugar and water. Gives a bit of moisture in the cake, extends the shelf life. So depending on the type of sponge it is, it takes more or less. If it's a European type Genoise, they take a little bit more syrup. And this is just going to be a vanilla cake. If you want to do a different flavor, it's easy to add some flavor into the syrup, which then transfers into the cake. So we put the first layer of buttercream on it. I prefer an offset handled spatula, not too big for the size of the cake. It's easier to work if the buttercream is not, the spatula is not too long. For buttercream, I usually have about half the thickness of the sponge in buttercream because buttercream is rather rich. Put the next layer on, make sure it's level. Another layer of syrup. Next layer of buttercream. Just push the excess buttercream over to the sides. We can use that when we mask the cake. And the last layer, this layer, we don't put it on this way, we turn it inside out, so we have an easier layer to put the syrup on, so we don't have the skin of the outside sponge to work with. Okay, so we have 3 layers of sponge and 2 layers of buttercream at this point. Now we're switching to the turntable for the next step, which is the masking. So put the cake on top here. So we have a clean spatula, and what we do is we take an additional amount of buttercream for the top layer. It's easier to add too much buttercream and take the buttercream off than by adding buttercream if you're short. So do the same thing as we did when we filled it. Just cover the top. Once everything is covered, just hold the spatula and you turn the turntable towards the spatula, and it flattens out your buttercream. Now, next step is to do the sides. When you work on the side, you reach over the cake so you can see what you're doing. If I work on this side, I can't see where I'm working. And we start off with whatever is on the outside at this point. Just work in an area of about 3 or 4 inches. If we need more buttercream, just grab it with the tip of the spatula to fill in. And we have the sponge covered with the buttercream, and now we add additional buttercream to cover the sponge that's still visible. Okay. So again, I'm working on the opposite side from my hand, so I'm reaching over the cake so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use the decorating comb to do the sides, so I have to add more buttercream than what I need, because I have to scrape it off with the comb again. Okay, it's important that you hold the knife straight. If you hold the knife on an angle, you're going to build out the base and your cake is not level anymore. Okay. So we take off some of the excess buttercream on the top at this point. Okay, now the decorating comb, I'm going to use the thinner design. It's put on the turntable flat on a 45-degree angle towards the cake, and you just pull the cake towards the decorating comb. And what's going to make it easier if the cake is centered on the turntable. So you start off with just a slight push against the cake, and then once you can see where the buttercream is still too thick, that's where you push a bit more, and this gives you the parallel lines around the cake. Okay, now all we have to do is finish off the cake, take off the extra icing. The first step is between the cake and the turntable. It's going to release the cake, makes it easier to take it off. Then all we have to do is clean off the top a bit by pulling the spatula from the outside towards the center of the cake. And this gives you a smooth textured cake. Okay. Now what we do now is take the cake board and slide the cake onto the cake board. The easiest way to do it is by holding the cake board underneath the turntable. Go with the knife underneath the cake and pull it onto the cake board. go back underneath the cake, lift it up a bit, and just slide it out. This way you won't have to lift it up too much. Okay? You clean off the turntable. And we can put the cake on top. Now, optional, we can use toasted almonds. You can use chocolate vermicelli to do the decoration on the side of the cake. In order to do this, you have to lift up the cake without the cake board. Because if you do this with the cake board, it would be just piling up the almonds. So what I'm doing is I'm crushing some of the almonds and just press them against the base of the cake. Now, depending on the design you put on here, like I said, you can do it with, without, or use chocolate vermicelli. The last step is the border design. I'm going to put a simple border around the cake by using a medium-sized round tip. This is buttercream, so the design should be fairly simple. The piping tips should be fairly small, so it doesn't overload the cake. Okay, and that's the design with the shell border. I'm just going to put it down here. And that's how we finish a simple buttercream cake.